YouTube, what's going on, everybody? Rick again here with another little some little tip and a tool that I am super ecstatic about today. Just want to show you guys. This is a drum on a 1951 Plymouth Cranbrook. It's a car my dad has had in his chicken coop for about 12 years now, and I'm trying to resurrect it. Brakes, first important thing, have to stop. These back drums were giving me fit the other day trying to get the actual drum off the rear axle. Now the shaft for the rear axle comes out here. It's not like your typical drum, and you have a castellated nut on the end of the actual shaft here with a keyway in it that the shaft, spins the drum on. So the hub in the center of the rear drum here is actually pressed onto the rear axle, and it is tight. It's been sitting on this car for 12 years. I just did the other side with this tool, and it definitely took some brute force, but it's been on there forever. And it's not like a normal drum where, in some cases, maybe not necessarily a normal drum, but newer styles of drums where the drum essentially just needs to be pulled off of the actual brake pads or the shoes because they're stuck to the shoes. This is actually set and seated onto the shaft. So my first attempt last week was with a hub puller, brake disc hub puller that I rented from AutoZone. Needless to say, I destroyed it. I actually bent I think it's probably about the 1/2 to 3/4 inch threaded shaft that goes through the hub puller with like a 4-foot pipe and my breaker bar on it, trying to get this shaft to, or hub to break off the shaft here with the drum. So I went online and I did some searching, and I saw some tools that people had used to get stuff like this done before, and I found this style online, which is this, you see, almost like a sledgehammer hitting point, this hex at the end here, and then this tool right here with the hooks and circles on it. Now, I saw somebody else do a video with one like this, and I just wanted to reassure anybody who was buying this thing online, this thing is awesome. The shaft on this thing is like 1 inch thick. It is heavy duty. You can see how deep the threads are on this thing. Probably about, I'd say, another inch worth of threads, maybe even more, 1.25 inches from the base to where the top of the threads are here. And these hooks are solid, super solid. So far it's done good. I'm going to do this side, give a little step by step. So let's get started. Alright, castellated nut and washer is off. You can see the keyway right there on the shaft. That's what keeps the hub on the drum from spinning around after you've pressed the hub of the drum onto the axle shaft. There's even a slight indentation in the threads. It's kind of hard to see where it's flattened out right here so that that actual keyway can go in. So the next thing we're going to do, that I saw somebody else do online to help protect things, is put this castellated nut on, either backwards or front ways. And I'm not going to mess it up going either way. It's loosened up, but I'd like to at least get it on here to protect the threads. And we're just going to put it on there just so that way we don't mar the threads up. Now the end of this shaft is tapered enough that the end of this is not going to really smush down on it. Not a lot anyway. Now the kind that I got for the hub puller from AutoZone actually had a complete, almost a complete coned end, and I pushed it in so much that it flattened it out inside on the divot on the other side. So these things will take a beating, but we're going to hook up to this thing and then get started on smashing. Alright, so I finished bolting everything up. Just a little side note, Chrysler's, this old one, something new for me. Passenger side, right hand threads. Driver side for the hubs on the drums, or for the threads in the drums for the lugs. Driver side, left hand threads. So the whole, I guess, thought or idea that driving down the road with left hand threads on the left hand side wouldn't back the lugs out. kind of debunked, but I guess that was the thing back then. So I got this pretty much centered up right here. This is tight. The lugs are tight. I left it a little bit loose before I actually centered it up, and then just kind of snugged this a bit, and then tightened the rest of these 3 arms here, here, and underneath here, all the way down. So what I'm going to try to do now is get this camera in position so I can take some video and show you guys how much force it takes to get this thing off. So I'm going to put this bar on here and beat this thing loose, and what it should do is, with the castellated nut in there, is essentially break free, and just the hub will pop loose and fill up that little bit of a 1/4 inch gap right there, 1/2 inch gap between the front of the hub and the castellated nut. So let's get to it. Alright, 5-pound sledge. Alright, and this is what, sorry, 3 pounds is what I used on the other side. I actually already got it started a little bit, but camera fell over. So we're going to hit it a few more times, see if we can get it to break free. I've already hit it about maybe 4 or 5 times. Do not stand in front of this thing. And that's it. Fill that space right there. So now she is free. Should take nothing but hand cranking on this thing to get this thing out. We'll check that out in a minute. And you can see how much force it takes to get this thing. I mean, you got to really pound on this thing, but I kid you not, this tool, got it off of Amazon, had it shipped out. It's Christmas Eve, I got it yesterday, and yeah, this thing is awesome. OTC 73.94. I think that's pretty much the part number. It's like $100 on Amazon. Definitely worth the time and the money. I'll just show you guys popping this thing off real quickly here once I get the everything loose. Get the castle nut off. Alright. Castellated nut is off. Everything's still hooked up. You can see I'm a little loose here. But now, just by hand, you can turn this thing in and we're free. Coming out super smooth. So just that initial break is the hardest thing. I'm sure we'll have to cinch this thing down real good once I go to put it back together, just to make sure everything rides true. But that's it. So there's our actual axle shaft right there, and you can kind of see it's tapered. It gets larger as you get closer to the base of the axle shaft. You know, your threads at the end here with your hole for your castellated nut. Single wheel cylinder, single spring. Your adjustment points at the bottom with your eccentrics. Your eccentrics in the middle for your adjustment points. And that's pretty much it. See down in here, this is my hub, it's my keyway. So I'm going to clean everything up in here, put this through the media blaster, clean all the rust off in here. Haven't found anybody to turn drums around this area lately, but or you know, it's kind of something that's a bit of a lost art. So for the most part, I'm going to try to clean everything up and see how it works. I figured I'd show you guys what's going on. These are the rear brakes, 1951 Plymouth Cranbrook. Hopefully this helped one of you guys out, get some of these off in your backyard or your garage as well. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate it.